Tell us a little bit about what your job entails.
So my job entails making sure the horses get from one destination to the other. I receive them at the airport, make sure they're healthy and fit, and then we load them on the stalls, take them over to the aircraft, and then obviously fly them from one destination to the other, and make sure that they are as healthy as they can be during the trip.
What exactly does it mean when they get put in the stalls, and how do they get lifted into the plane?
So they get loaded on the stalls in a warehouse or allocated facility, and then we take them over to the aircraft on dollies, where they get put on a high loader that literally lifts them onto the plane, and then they get rolled in.
Cool, and then they all get stacked together?
They all get stacked together, sometimes with different cargo and separating them depending on weight distribution.
Amazing. Can you walk back and access them?
Yeah, we go back and check them regularly throughout the flight. We have our little sitting area, go through the door, and we can check them on a regular basis.
And they have hay and water, or no food? How is the eating situation?
Lots of people fly their horses in different ways, and we make sure that they generally have as much hay as they could want, and then we offer them water every 2 hours, every hour and a half. Every horse is different.
Cool, cool. What should you do as a horse owner before sending your horse on a flight?
I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. I mean, every horse is different and every owner is different. Some people like to give fluids. I'm all for that. Other people don't. If you know that your horse is happy to drink out of a water bucket, then they should be fine. We don't usually have very many problems like that.
Cool. What would you say horses actually struggle with the most with air travel?
The noise.
The noise?
The noise and the sideways moving in the stalls.
Because they're unbalanced?
Because they make the process as smooth as they can, but obviously they're loading in essentially a steel box onto a plane. So, and the partitions, unlike a horse truck, are not, they don't have the rubber flap at the bottom, so they're solid all the way down. So when they get jagged slightly sideways, if they need to catch their balance, they can't spread their legs as easily as they can on the truck.
Interesting. Do they brace for takeoff and landing?
They sit back quite often.
They do. Interesting. Really cool. What happens if something goes wrong?
We have our sort of protocol. If need be, we can sedate them. Quite often on the big charter flights for the Olympics, global champions, we have that's on board that can sort of take over the situation.
Oh, that's good. So there's always a professional that can
on the big
oversee.
flights, yeah.
Interesting. What would be the most important thing that you should do before sending your horse on a flight?
Make sure that they get some rest, especially if it's a long flight. If they're flying to Australia, it's a very long process, and that you don't work the horses too much the day before. And just keep an eye on how much fluid they're intaking the day before, because obviously you want them to be as hydrated as possible throughout the flight. That helps a lot with avoiding travel sickness.
Yeah. Do people give a lot of fluids themselves, extra fluids before they travel?
Yes, we don't know exactly what happens to all the horses before they arrive at the airport, but we can see what state they're in when they arrive, and if we think that fluids need to be given, then we can recommend it at the airport.
Oh, that's smart. So you can give it right up to.
Right up to, yeah.
Do horses get jet lagged when they travel?
It's difficult to tell because a lot of the times when they travel somewhere really far, they're in quarantine for 2 weeks, so you don't really know what the situation's like in the quarantine. And I know that people that bring them over from Australia, they have these weird sort of blue lights that they put on them, and it sort of tricks the body into thinking they're in a different time zone.
Cool. All right. Well, hopefully horses travel well.
That's the plan.